At 3:12 a.m., my property blazed to life like a scene from a high-stakes heist movie. Floodlights snapped on, bathing the night in blinding white, followed by a piercing siren that sliced through the silence. Seconds later, the growl of police cruisers tore down the gravel path to my front gate. Within 90 seconds, four armed officers crouched behind their cars, weapons drawn, their sights locked on my newly forged steel gate. Beyond the sparks of a freshly cut lock stood a woman in fuzzy slippers and pink pajamas, clutching bolt cutters like a thief caught mid-crime. It was Linda, the HOA president, her face frozen in shock as red and blue lights painted her in a glow of poetic justice. From my porch, coffee in hand, I watched the chaos unfold on my security feed, a smirk tugging at my lips as Linda dropped the cutters like they'd burned her. No one could have predicted she'd go this fair, or maybe I should have. Linda had been a thorn in my side since I moved here, but this 3 a.m. gate breach was a new low, even for her. Just 2 days earlier, I'd hit my breaking point. The county sheriff had already warned her multiple times to stay off my land, but Linda, wielding her HOA title like a scepter, insisted she had the right to inspect any suspicious structure. My custom-built privacy gate, she claimed, violated some obscure, outdated community rule. The real issue? It blocked her nosy view of my house. She'd bang on the gate twice a week, demanding I open it or face her wrath. I told her repeatedly this wasn't HOA territory, it was private land, separated by a signed easement. But reason never stood a chance against her clipboard-fueled crusades. My name's Ethan. I moved to this rural slice of peace 6 months ago, desperate to escape the city's chaos after a brutal divorce and 2 decades of corporate grind. I built this house with my own hands, calling in favors from old friends, and when it came to the gate, I didn't skimp. My cousin Nate, who runs a tech firm specializing in industrial security, helped me outfit it with a triple reinforced lock, a top-tier surveillance suite, and a silent alarm that pings the police if tampered with. It was all legal, state-approved, and, frankly, necessary given Linda's obsession. The day the gate went up, she was there within 10 minutes, screaming about how I was walling off the community and creating an eyesore. I told her she was on easement land, with no jurisdiction, and that the zoning board had greenlit the gate. She responded by jamming a stick through the bars. When I warned her about property damage, she stormed off. The next day, my mailbox was pried open, and my trash bin lay toppled in the dirt. That's when I doubled down. I installed cameras, not just obvious ones, but discreet, motion-triggered units hidden in the landscaping. Every inch of my driveway was monitored. I upgraded the system so any forced tampering with the lock would trigger an instant police alert, complete with GPS, thermal imaging, and real-time video snapshots sent to the sheriff's department. Call it overkill, but it wasn't paranoia, it was preparation for the inevitable. And the inevitable came at 3:10 a.m. when Linda, dressed like a sleep-deprived cat burglar, crept up with bolt cutters too big for subtlety. She snipped the lock, and as the metal hit the gravel, the system roared to life lights, alarms, the works. She didn't even cross the threshold before 2 police units, already nearby, screeched onto my property. Linda froze, bolt cutters dangling, as spotlights pinned her in place. She raised her hands, not in fear but in confusion, yelling, "This is a misunderstanding. I'm with the HOA." The lead officer, unfazed, ordered her to drop the cutters. She hesitated, so a second officer moved in, disarming her and slapping on cuffs. She kept shouting about her authority, calling me the menace, insisting I'd weaponized my gate against a concerned citizen. I stepped outside once the situation was under control, meeting Deputy Carter, who'd dealt with Linda before. He gave me a look, half apology, half admiration, and asked about the system. I showed him the footage, weeks of it, documenting Linda's relentless trespassing attempts. "We've had other complaints about her," Carter sighed. "This might finally stop her." Linda was detained, not arrested, and stuffed into a cruiser, screaming through the window about suing me. I didn't respond, just let my cameras keep rolling, capturing every second in crystal-clear night vision, backed up to my hard drive, cloud server, and my brother Max's private storage. By morning, I fired off an email to the HOA board, attaching the video, the easement deed, and a curt note. Incident at 3:12 a.m. Please advise. I CC'd my attorney and the county clerk, who'd previously tangled with Linda's shady filings. Then I sent the footage to Max, who runs a legal commentary channel with millions of followers. He called, laughing hysterically, and said, "This is going viral by lunch." He wasn't wrong. By noon, the video, titled HOA President Caught Cutting Gate Lock at 3 a.m. Police Swarm, racked up views worldwide. Comments poured in. This lady risked jail to snoop on his lawn? The internet ate it up. Linda was released, but not unscathed. The sheriff's office opened an investigation, and my attorney filed a restraining order that same day. The neighborhood buzz neighbors waved, gave thumbs-ups, even dropped off cookies, saying they'd been waiting for someone to catch her. But Linda wasn't done. At 9 a.m. the next morning, she stood across the street, megaphone in hand, clutching flyers and yelling, "I was wrongfully detained." This is what happens when you give a man a gate and a god complex. I nearly choked on my coffee laughing. The neighborhood, however, wasn't amused. Max's video had hit 700,000 views, and the HOA's online group split into those fed up with Linda's reign and a few loyalists clinging to her guardian myth. Most were done with her. That afternoon, Linda called an emergency HOA meeting in her front yard, under a sagging tent with a crooked Community Restoration Now sign. Barely anyone showed, mostly curious gawkers. I walked by, phone recording, not to provoke, but to document. Linda held up a screenshot of the viral video, declaring it slander and insisting my gate was illegal. A board member, Sarah, stood up and snapped, "You broke the law, Linda. That gate's on private property. You cut it at 3 a.m. The crowd laughed. A kid yelled, "What code?" Anti-fence vibes. Linda's narrative crumbled. She flailed, knocking over lemonade, screaming about harassment. Sarah, unfazed, pulled out her phone and said, "Step down, or I'll move to remove you permanently." Linda stormed off, defeated. The legal gears kept turning. The restraining order was served, barring Linda from coming within 100 feet of my property. She responded with an unhinged social media rant, filmed in her car, claiming I was a gate magnate, dismantling community spirit. She even posted flyers at the park, with a cartoon of me as a cyber bully wielding police drones. My attorney laughed, but warned that her public attacks could justify a defamation suit. Neighbors rallied around me, one offering to testify about Linda's threats over his backyard hammock. Her behavior grew erratic. She started wearing a body cam, accusing new families of a tech takeover, and calling my gate a class warfare symbol. People crossed the street to avoid her. The tipping point came when Linda tried to hold another unauthorized HOA meeting at the community hall, only to find her key didn't work. She called the cops, claiming she was locked out of her facility. The officers, aware of the restraining order and her flyer-stuffed bag, sent her home. She fired back with a wild complaint, alleging my gate had weapons-grade electronics, and my porch lights blinked in a militarized pattern. My lawyer called it the most deranged affidavit he'd seen. Meanwhile, Sarah uncovered a bombshell. A folder in the HOA's drive showed Linda had siphoned over $12,000 for tactical enhancements and a security retreat that was actually a luxury yoga trip. The county launched a fraud probe. Linda resurfaced with a 7-page press release, emailed to every resident and local news, denying everything and accusing me of faking footage. She even attached a body cam photo of me, labeled known agitator. My lawyer prepped a defamation case, and I sent the police all my evidence, including her rant about my subliminal porch lights. The detective, exhausted, said it was the weirdest HOA case he'd seen. Linda's house became a spectacle passers-by filmed, hoping to glimpse the fallen queen. Her support evaporated when the audit leaked to the neighborhood chat, exposing her scams. She filed a lawsuit against me, claiming emotional distress and sabotage of civic duties, but the judge tossed it, unimpressed by her Christmas light conspiracies. The HOA board, led by Sarah, overhauled the rules, passing a Linda clause to block rogue enforcement and requiring oversight for expenses over $200. At a public forum, Sarah declared Linda barred from future board runs, earning cheers. The fraud probe deepened, uncovering fake business payments and an attempt to redirect HOA mail to Linda's house, hinting at identity theft. At her civil suit hearing, Linda, representing herself, demanded to be called Madam President and rambled about spiritual betrayal. My lawyer's evidence videos, statements, records shut her down. The case was dismissed with prejudice. Linda withdrew, her house dark, her voice silenced. The HOA demanded $22,000 in restitution for her misdeeds, with a 30-day deadline. Her silence screamed louder than her megaphone. But I wasn't naive. Linda didn't quit easily. Weeks later, my cameras caught her pacing my property line in black, probing my gate with a strange device. The system flagged it, and police swooped in. She waved her tablet, screaming about unlawful surveillance. But the officers, citing the restraining order, took her in for questioning. Max posted the footage, dubbed the Linda Trilogy, and it exploded online, with memes mocking her electromagnetic wave battles. Then, a realtor's letter arrived. Linda's house was for sale, listed quietly under a third party. She moved out without fanfare, directing movers in a sun hat and shades, avoiding all eyes. The neighborhood exhaled. Mailboxes became chat hubs again. Kids played freely. I swapped my gate steel sign for a wooden one, protected by community and common sense. Max's videos became a cult hit, spawning t-shirts with "You Shall Not Pass" over Linda's silhouette. At the next HOA barbecue, Sarah toasted our survival, and I declined a joking nomination as HOA historian. I'd had enough drama. But Linda's quiet exit felt too easy. Her house, now empty, still whispered of one last desperate act, waiting to erupt.